Thanks so much, guys. Yeah, we're talking financing in the cannabis space today, and more specifically, the California cannabis market, a very exciting one in the U.S. We'll talk to FinCanna Corporation, which is leading the way as far as financing in California is concerned. Andrico Hercek is CEO of FinCanna Corporation and is talking with us today. Good to have you on the show. This is an interesting concept, one that comes more, it might be more familiar to people from the mining space when we're talking about a royalty type business setup and business model. Tell us where the concept came from and how it was applied to the cannabis industry.
Yeah, Brendan, great to be on your show this morning. Thank you for having me here. So first of all, we are a royalty company. In fact, the only publicly traded royalty company in the licensed U.S. cannabis space. We're focused on California. We've been around for about 4 years, went public just over 3 years ago when California first legalized. And since then, we've developed a nice, large, diversified portfolio focused on California and U.S. cannabis.
We're talking about royalties. As I mentioned, the idea might be more familiar to people from the mining space. Tell us exactly how that applies when it comes to cannabis.
Sure. So in essence, what a royalty is, for those who don't know, it's we supply permanent capital for businesses. And in exchange, these companies pay us a percentage of their revenues on a monthly basis and in perpetuity. And as you mentioned, this has been a very proven model in the mining business. And in fact, there's some very large royalty companies in the mining business that are worth a lot more than the companies they have financed. But fundamentally, the big difference between what we've done and what the mining has done, and improvement for our industry, is that our royalties are in perpetuity. Typically, a mining royalty is life of mine. So once the mine runs out, the royalty runs out. But we don't. So our royalties are corporate wide. As the companies grow that we invest in, our revenues and royalties grow with them. And ultimately, we're designed to be profitable. Our revenues are essentially 100% margin business. So besides a low fixed cost, they all fall down to the bottom line.
And as you said, the first opportunity and the first business in this space, publicly traded business in this space, applying that business model. Let's talk about California specifically. Tell us a little bit about the characteristics that you look for in a potential investment when it comes to applying some of the capital.
So, first of all, we're looking for companies that are going to be leaders in their sector. So management, of course, and the different sectors. So, we've chosen a few sectors that we see are being value add, that have, in essence, can have high margin and high growth opportunities. And one of the things that we look for is, how big can these companies grow? One thing that we've done, we have one source of revenue, which is the royalty. But what we've also done, which is a very important part for us, is we've negotiated very attractive change of control clauses in the companies that we've invested in. So as these companies grow, and we expect that at some point there's going to be a consolidation in this industry, and these companies will get bought out. So when these companies get bought out, we earn on our existing portfolio anywhere between 25 and 70. That's 70% of the gross sales proceeds of these companies. So in essence, just the big windfall from one of those sales could be several times what our current market cap is, or the market cap at that time.
And depending on which business we're talking about, or which area of the overall sector we're talking about, obviously a giant opportunity. Tell us a little bit more when it comes to the different products that we're talking about, the different area of the business we're talking about. Are we speaking more on the manufacturing side or the product end of the cannabis industry?
Yeah, great question. So currently we have 3 investments. 2 of them are focused on co-manufacturing. We see co-manufacturing being a very large, lucrative business for us. Instead of banking on one brand, you're banking on a company that's doing 30, 40, 50 brands. And so as the market grows, these companies will grow as well. So in essence, with 2 of the companies that we've invested in, essentially everything that is produced on a dispensary shelf in California, these 2 companies produce. And so we're very excited as California grows, the number of dispensaries grows, so will their sales, and of course our royalties.
And as we talk about California, tell us first of all why California was chosen. I mean, obviously a giant market within the U.S., but there are obviously others outside of the state of California available to companies now as far as cannabis is concerned. So why California? And two-part, second, is there still areas of the state that might be, bigger opportunities still to come?
Yeah, no, those are a great question. So first of all, we chose California because, full stop, it is the largest cannabis market in North America and the largest cannabis market in the world. Because of the federal illegality right now in the U.S., cannabis cannot cross state lines. So in essence, they're closed markets. And California is the largest. So we're expecting that, once these barriers come down, that, California products will move out and not the other way in.
And we're speaking of, administration changes. Obviously,
Right.
We had the election recently. More favorable policies, hopefully, for the industry to come in the U.S. Is there more positivity when it comes to a company like FinCanna coming, with the change in policy, possibly?
Absolutely. I mean, if you take a look at the cannabis stocks that are focused in the U.S., their valuations have literally gone up significant multiple times since the election results in November. And these are early days. We're expecting a very, very strong bull run in U.S. cannabis stocks for the next 2 years. And because the White House and the leaders have said they're looking towards, whether it's Safe Banking Act, descheduling, rescheduling, or decriminalization, eventually legalization. Once legalization happens, the market is going to explode. We've seen that happen in Canada. And the U.S. is 10 times the size. We're also seeing that happen globally now, too. A great analog is if you take a look at what happened in alcohol. So alcohol prohibition ended in the U.S. in 1933. So it was legalized in 1933. It is now a $1 trillion industry globally. And so we're looking at similar things happening with cannabis as the other countries around the world legalize, and eventually the U.S. does as well. And we look at California as a leader, no different than, think of Napa wine for California. California cannabis is, going to have that same cachet and that same worldwide respect.
Enrico Hercek is CEO of FinCanna Capital Corporation. When it comes to investing in an opportunity like this, investors love to hear about what is coming next. What are you excited about in the near term for the company?
Okay, so first of all, we've got a portfolio of 3. We're going to be adding to our portfolio this year. There has never been a more exciting time to be in U.S. cannabis space. We're still very early days. Once there's a sniff of legalization or decriminalization, all the big players are going to be coming in. Massive consolidation we're expecting. Every one of our companies that we've invested in is a potential target for a takeout. I mentioned earlier that our share of that takeout is significant. And as we grow in this market, we're expecting very big wins for our shareholders and potentially a big exit down the road when it gets legalization.
Enrico Hercek, CEO of FinCanna Capital Corporation. It's been a pleasure. I mean, it's an exciting time, as we mentioned, for the industry and for the sector in general. Best of luck going forward. We look for an update possibly in the future.
Brendan, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Good to speak to you today. There you go, guys. A little look at FinCanna Capital Corporation, concentrating the California cannabis space.